So let's get right to it. So right now, this episode is on Rio de Janeiro and living in Rio as a digital nomad. Uh, I I really like Rio de Janeiro. It's such a magical city. And right now, you see me walking down. I'm in Ipanema, and I'm just walking down on a Sunday afternoon. On Sunday afternoons, it's very hectic. A lot of people on the beach. People riding their bikes, walking down the I forgot what street that is. It's not Senora, but walking down that street and everybody's just exercising. It's a city where they embrace like the athletic vibe and everybody's always working out. So on Sundays, everybody's just on the beach, riding their bikes, taking a walk, exercising on the beach as well. So if you're in Rio and you like the gym lifestyle, it's gonna be perfect for you. Um, let's get into the areas that you need to stay in. So I have a lot of people that travel. You got different nomads. So you got people that want to stay for 2 weeks at a time, a month at a time. So if I was staying for 2 weeks at a time and I wanted to enjoy the city, I would look into staying in Leblon. Leblon is like the safer area as opposed to Copacabana or Ipanema. I was staying in Copacabana, and right now you see me walking to Ipanema. I like Ipanema. I think they're both safe, at least for me. I didn't feel any danger in these areas, but Copacabana can get hectic, and also Ipanema can get hectic as well. Um, I would recommend staying at a Selena or like a hostel. Actually, in Copacabana, um, there was a lot of police presence, so I didn't feel like unsafe. But I did see a lot of buffoonery going on in Copacabana. Let's get that straight. And so yeah, I would stay in Leblon area if I was staying 2 weeks at a time. Even Botafogo, which is north of Copacabana, it's a little north. I'd say it's about a 15-minute drive or 10-minute drive to Copacabana or Leblon or Ipanema. So Copacabana, Leblon, and Ipanema are like right next door to each other. So you have Copacabana, Ipanema, and then Leblon is further to the west. If I was staying for a month at a time or a couple months, I would look into Baja Tijuca, and I would still look in Botafogo. Botafogo is an up and coming area, more of a hipster area. Um, really relaxed, you know, and it's more of like a residential area, and it's nice. A con about Rio de Janeiro that I have is the buildings in Copacabana and Ipanema are very old school. Like one of the Airbnbs that I was staying in, like imagine yourself going to the 1950s and just being in a building. So the building that I had, it was you know those elevators where you have to pull the door. It was like so old. So that's a con about Rio de Janeiro. If you don't mind staying in these like rundown or old school, old fashioned buildings, you'd have no problem. I guess there would be no problem. But it did feel kind of cool staying in those buildings. But after a while, it was like, man, every other building or every building was kind of an old school type of building, which I didn't really understand. Rio is a very popular city, so I would expect them to try to update the buildings, but those buildings are pretty old. And Copacabana and Ipanema, um, a little bit newer. The north you go, maybe in Botafogo, the buildings are a little bit newer. Baja Tijuca, the buildings are a little bit newer, but in Copacabana, it's like you're in the 50s. I would stay away from Lapa at nighttime. So that's somewhere I would not try to go to at nighttime. It's a lot of buffoonery going on in Lapa during the nighttime. If you're going to go to Lapa, which is it's a very nice area to be in, I would recommend going in a group or meeting some Brazilians who know the area because it could be a lot of stuff going on in Lapa. But during the day, it's a nice place to go to. There's a lot of activities to do in Lapa. So just keep that in mind. I did a video in Sao Paulo about the food. Brazilian food is very good. So whether it's uh, eating that feijoada and picanha, which is like the steakhouse. Like they have like the Brazilian barbecue, which is top notch. They have the what's that stuff called rodizio, where you can go to like a kind of like a if back in America, if Fogo do Chao, those chains where they'll just keep coming with the meats paws, and they'll just keep bringing meats to your table, and you're just gonna be eating a lot of different types of meat. So when it comes to food, Brazil, like I said in the Sao Paulo video, Brazil is top notch, and you're not gonna be upset being in Brazil regarding the food. Another con that I also mentioned in the Sao Paulo video is the CPFs, the CPF, which is like their social security number in in Brazil, and you're gonna need that for a lot of different things. Regarding the gym, so when I went to the gym, I was trying to go to a Smart Fit. I needed a CPF, but now that I have a Smart Fit membership, when I was in Colombia, so I can uh, use them now. Going back to Brazil, um, FYI, I'm not in Brazil right now, but uh, when I did go to the gym, I went to Body Tech in Rio and in Nossa Senora, and I actually paid a lot of money, which kind of upset me. I think I had to get a 3 month package, and I think I paid $300, so it was like $100 a month gym membership, which I was like, man, this is really expensive for Brazil, but it was a nice gym, but I don't think it was worth $100 a month. And so that's what kind of hindered me with the CPF number. Uh, it was quite a bummer, but that's the stuff we got to deal with being nomads and not being fully prepared and having CPF numbers, which is quite annoying. It's a con. Uh, Try to not use your cell phone when you're walking down walking in Rio as a whole. Just try to see if you can you know know where you're going, or like if you need to pull out your phone, pull it out, look around, see what's going on, and just see where you need to walk, and if you need to walk, and just figure out where you need to go, because especially in Copacabana, like on Sunday, or like on this day, it was actually on this day, uh within a 5-minute time frame, I seen two people get their phone robbed. They were literally just on their phone. Like one girl, she was walking down the Olas, and she was talking on the phone. A group of people literally just yanked the phone out of her hand, and then within, like I said, within another 5 minutes, another guy got his phone taken. And it was pretty crazy to see. I didn't see exactly the person who took it, because they when they take the phones, they travel in big groups, like it's like 20 of them, so it's like you're not going to be able to see, and it's usually kids, which is the crazy part. And let's get into the nightlife, because I know us digital nomads, we don't like to work all day, all the time. We want to have some fun. Nightlife is, I mean, just go outside. You're gonna find something to do in Copacabana and Leblon and Ipanema. Whether you just go outside, you're gonna run into something. I would recommend like befriending some Brazilians, or like befriending, some people that know the area, and getting going to a pagode event, which is a nice experience, or a samba event. It's gonna feel like you're really in Rio once you go to these like authentic Brazilian music events that they have, like in the around the areas, around the different neighborhoods. So I recommend going doing that. I also do recommend speaking some Portuguese. Portuguese is a difficult language, but I do recommend having like some form of basis of the language. Um, One thing about Rio is like nobody, all of the expats who live in Rio or live in essentially in Brazil, they don't make the effort to learn the language. And I'm not the language police, but it's like, when you go to these countries, like you got to be able to, to have a conversation, because a good amount of people are not going to speak English, even though you're in Rio. A good amount of people do speak English, but I'd say the majority they're not gonna know what the hell you're talking about. So try to learn the language. It's gonna help you, especially if you like Brazil, you like the culture, and you plan on coming back. Um, yeah, I think that's about it on my part. The city is super walkable, especially if you're in those areas that I mentioned. It's really walkable. I like to walk, like I said in a previous video. So the city of Rio is I give it like a 7 as far as walkability. Um, Uber transportation is very cheap. They have Uber, which is like depending on where you're going, I think you're not gonna spend more than $10 on Uber. I think from the airport to the areas I was staying, where Copacabana, Ipanema, Leblon, I think it was like $10 to $11 maximum. And there's little bikes around the areas, around on these areas, so you can like get on little not bikes but scooters. There's scooters that you can pay, and you can just pay to ride. And but yeah, transportation shouldn't be a problem there in Rio. So, do I recommend Rio? Yes, I recommend Rio. Just you just gotta be safe, and you gotta be cautious. Use your street smarts. Um, you know where to go. When it's nighttime, try to look for a group to be with, especially if you're a woman. Or but like I said, for me, I didn't really feel unsafe, and I used to walk like late nights because I'm crazy. But just be careful. All right. Rio for me is probably one of my favorite cities aesthetically. It's for me it's probably one of the most beautiful cities that I've ever been to. The beach, the mountains, the old buildings, it's an extremely unique combination of a city, and I really like the people. Brazilian people are very friendly. The culture is one of a kind. You're just gonna have a great time in Rio, and I recommend being there. So that about wraps the video, and yeah, so I'll catch you guys on the next video, and have a great rest of your time.